Hello friends, it's Lisa, and welcome to my first of what is going to be a few anticipated releases videos for 2024. I'm planning on doing a few of these throughout the whole year and just getting some books that are coming out in 2024 on your radar and just sharing the ones that I'm specifically very excited about. These are some of my favorite videos to film every single year, and so I thought it'd be fun to do a few this year. This first one is going to be January, February, March, and April releases, and I have like a little over 20 books to talk about, I think. So we've got a lot to talk about. I'm very excited about all of these books, and I think this time around this year, because I have so many that I want to talk about, I'm not going to spend too much time delving into all of the descriptions and plots of every single book. I'm just going to kind of give a general sense of what the book's about or what makes me excited about them, and I will have my Goodreads and Storygraph shelves of anticipated releases for this year linked below. So if any of these books intrigue you and sound interesting and you want to know more about them, you can go and check them out there. But yeah, I really just want to get through like as many books as possible, and I think just kind of keeping things short and sweet and just getting through all of them is how we're going to do that. Also, random side note, yes, I am filming on my phone instead of on my camera, but I think that this is actually a lot better. The quality of the actual video I think is so much better on my phone, and someday I will have a nice camera to film on, but today is not that day, so I think we're going to start filming with the phone, but let me know your thoughts. Anyway, doesn't matter, no one probably cares. Let's just chat about some exciting 2024 releases in January through April. So like I said, this video we're going to be covering the first 4 months of 2024. So we're starting in January, and I know it's already February. I normally film these videos a little bit earlier on in the year. I just did not get a chance to do this in January. So I still want to talk about January releases though. I'm still excited about them. I still want to put them on your radar. So we're going to start with January releases. So I have my laptop here if you see me looking down, but the first one I want to talk about is Most Ardently by Gabe Cole Novoa, and this came out January 16th. So as you can probably tell from the title, this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, which automatically made me want to read it just because I love Pride and Prejudice so much. But this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, but with a trans main character. We have Oliver, who to his friends and family is known as Elizabeth and feels very trapped in all of these dresses and petticoats and trying to find a match, but then he meets Mr. Darcy and he's able to actually be Oliver and be himself with Mr. Darcy, and that's really all I want to know. I just love Pride and Prejudice. I love the fact that there's a trans main character, and that's it. That's all I need to know. I definitely need to pick this up. I think I need to do a whole video reading like Pride and Prejudice retellings because I think that that could be so fun. Next up, I want to talk about So Let Them Burn by Camilla Cole. This also came out on January 16th. So it says it's a Jamaican-inspired fantasy, and we're following a character named Farron who can channel the power of the gods. And 5 years ago, she used her divine magic to liberate her island from its enemies, the dragon-riding Langley Empire, and the fact that there's dragons in this just makes me so excited to pick this up at some point. So Farron was able to save her people and save her land from these dragon-riding enemies, but then at a peace summit, what ends up happening is her older sister ends up creating a bond with an enemy dragon, and her enemies end up saying that the only way that that can be broken is if they kill her sister. So I think we're seeing Farron kind of try and find a solution that makes it so her sister can live, but also is not bonded to this dragon. Regardless, it just sounds really fun. I love the fact that there's dragons. I love that dragons are having a moment right now. I know it's due to Fourth Wing and like everyone has mixed opinions on that book, but I'm loving that dragons are making a bit of a comeback. I think it's really fun. So I'm definitely excited to check this out. The next book I want to chat about is one that I feel like I'm seeing everywhere. So you've probably at least seen it around, and that's Fae Bound by Sarah L. Arifi. This came out January 23rd, I think. Goodreads loves to give me different dates depending on where I look, but I think it was the 23rd of January. And even though I've seen this book everywhere, do I know what it's about? Not really. I do see in the tags on Goodreads, fantasy, romance, lesbian, fae. That's all I need to know. It seems like we're following two sisters. We have one who is a warrior in the elven army and has known nothing but violence, and then her sister who's trying to make a living as a diviner, seeking prophecies of a better future. There ends up being this fatal mistake that ends up leading to Yiran's exile. I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly. They end up getting exiled from the elven lands, and so they're forced to like go into the wilderness, and they end up stumbling upon the Fae courts. And then it also says that the Fae haven't been seen for a millennium, which definitely intrigues me. This description honestly doesn't have a whole lot to it, which does make me intrigued to pick this up. I love when a description really doesn't give you much of anything. It just kind of gets you intrigued, but you really do actually have to read the book to know what's going on, because I feel like sometimes descriptions, they can give away too much. So definitely intrigued. I feel like a lot of people, again, have been talking about this and have been loving it, so definitely excited to check this out. And also, I just love this cover. I don't know what it is about it, but I love it. I honestly kind of feel like I use my anticipated releases videos to just yell about pretty book covers, because Most Ardently and So Let Them Burn also have beautiful covers, so I'm gonna probably say that a lot throughout this video, so apologies in advance. All right, next up I want to talk about the Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. This came out January 30th, and this is also the same author as House of Hollow, which I read a couple years ago, I think, and I did like it. I think about that book a lot because it was very weird, and I don't really read a lot of like weird horror-y type of books, so like to me that kind of stands out because I don't really read things in that genre, but I did like it, and so that is why I'm intrigued by this one. But it seems like this book you're following two different characters who each have their own reason to seek out this one magical person that can give them these powers to get what they want. So we have Zara, who I think her sister is murdered by a serial killer, and so she kind of has her own reasons for wanting this magic to find this person and get her revenge. And I think she also wants to bring her sister back from the dead, so I'm sure that will go really well. And then we have Jude, who it says that she made a deal with a demon and it ended up going wrong, so now she has this curse on her, and if she can't find the right someone to fix her mistake, she fears she'll die very soon. But then the two of them seek out Amir, who's the daughter of a witch, and so then I think she ends up selling them these solutions to their problems, but then some of Amir's former clients end up showing up dead, so now Jude and Zara are kind of wrapped up in this new mystery, and it sounds really good. I love when we're following multiple perspectives in a book and then they kind of come together to like a common goal, so I think that'll be really interesting to see. I did like House of Hollow by the same author, so I'm very intrigued to check this one out. And last book that I want to mention for January releases is Come and Get It by Kylie Reed. This was also released January 30th, and this is again another author I've read from before. I read Such a Fun Age, I think when it released back in 2020, and I don't think that this author's released anything else since then, so that's why I'm kind of excited to check this one out. But this is another book where it's a very short description. There's really not a whole lot that you get about the book, which again intrigues me because there must be a reason why we're not getting much of a description. It says that we have Millie Cousins, who is a senior resident assistant. She wants to graduate, get a job, and buy a house. Don't we all? Isn't that the dream? But then it says that Agatha Paul, a visiting professor and writer, offers Millie an easy yet unusual opportunity, and she jumps at the chance. So I don't know, seems a little weird that we don't get much information, and then it just says that Millie's starry-eyed hustle becomes jeopardized by odd new friends, vengeful dorm pranks, and illicit intrigue. And that's really all it says. I don't know, I'm very intrigued by this just because there really isn't much to go off of, and I did like Kylie Reed's other books, so definitely will be checking this out. So now we're getting into the February releases, and the first one I want to talk about is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. And when I'm filming this only came out a couple days ago. It came out February 6th, and all I know about this is that we have a vampire named Misery, and we have a werewolf named Lo, and the vampires and the werewolves do not get along, but Misery and Lo enter into this marriage of convenience. I don't know why. I don't want to know why. I want to read the book and I want to find out. I'm excited. This sounds so good. I love, again, that vampires are also kind of making a comeback. I just feel like the paranormal kind of romance vibes are kind of making a comeback recently, and I'm not mad about it. And I feel like Ali Hazelwood, she kind of has the type of writing and characters in romances where they either work for you or they don't. Like, I feel like there's a lot of mixed feelings on her books. I happen to enjoy them, so I'm excited about this. And I think it's going to be really interesting because it is so different from what she's written before. Because as much as I do like her books, her 3 adult romances, like, They all very much follow a similar pattern. There's certain tropes that she likes to include and certain things that just kind of happen in every single one of her books, which is fine. I eat it up every time. But I feel like this is going to be a fun opportunity for there to be some new things to see from her, and the fact that it is a paranormal romance, like, it's just different from what we've seen from her before. So very excited about this. It seems really fun. I know it just came out, so it's also like fresh on the brain. I need to get a copy. I'm just very excited. Next up, of course, I have to mention With a Little Luck by Marissa Meyer. We all know I love Marissa Meyer's books, so of course I'm excited for this one, and this is coming out February 13th. So this is actually a YA contemporary. It's a companion to Instant Karma, which is a book that came out a couple years ago, and we're following the brother of the main character from the first book, and so they're kind of like companion YA contemporary books, which is fun because Marissa Meyer doesn't typically write YA contemporary. She's very much a like sci-fi fantasy kind of writer, so it is fun to read something a bit different from her. And even though I'm not really a YA contemporary girly anymore, this is just because it's Marissa Meyer. If Marissa Meyer writes it, I will read it. It's just simple math. But the whole thing with both of these books is that they're contemporaries with like a little bit of magic. So in this particular book, we have Jude, who is able to get like this ability to have good luck. And the reason he gets a bunch of good luck is he's really into D&D and hosting these D&D campaigns. Is that the technical terms? I don't know. I don't know much about D&D. I apologize. But he ends up coming across a mysterious 20-sided dice, and that is how he gets all of this good luck. So a lot of things start going his way. He obviously has a lot of good luck with a lot of things he's trying to do, and then he ends up losing the 20-sided dice, and so that kind of causes a lot of things to start not going his way. And then on top of this, I think there's like a friends to lovers like romantic storyline going on, which definitely has me excited. I just love the way Marissa Meyer writes her romances. They're just so precious. So I'm really excited about this. I definitely need to do a reread of Instant Karma because I remember Jude a little bit, but like not really. So I do want to do a reread of that before this one. But yeah, I'm excited. I feel like I've said I'm excited about all of these books, and that's just what I do here in these anticipated releases videos. I say the word excited way too much. Okay, next up is a book that I know for sure I have mentioned in other anticipated releases videos because the release date of this has changed so many times. I feel like it was originally supposed to come out like 2 years ago and then last year, but now it's finally happening. And that's A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. This is coming out on February 20th, which is so soon. We went from it being pushed back so many times to now it's actually really soon. I don't think I fully realized that until I said the date out loud. That is very exciting. And again, the like paranormal vampire thing, it's making a comeback because in this book we have Arthi, who runs a tea room, but by night it turns into an illegal blood house for the vampires. But then it says that her establishment is threatened and that Arthi is forced to strike an unlikely deal with an alluring adversary to save it, and she can't do the job alone. And I know Hafsa Faisal has posted like the character art of the characters from this book, and I already love them. I'm already obsessed with them just based off of the art alone. Plus there's a cat, so like, you know I'm pumped, you know I'm ready. But then the whole like premise of this book is that Arthi and this ragtag group of characters, this little found family, end up planning this heist and like are planning to infiltrate the vampire society, and it just sounds so good. And I know Hafsa Faisal writes like found family and that kind of dynamic so well because We Hunt the Flame. So good. I miss them. I need to reread that series. Anyway, yeah, obviously I love her previous duology and I'm so excited to get more books from her and more characters, and I know I'm saying excited again, but I'm excited about it. I have been waiting for this book, I feel like, for multiple years now. So to finally know that it's coming out and it's coming out soon, I just cannot wait. Next up, we have another book with a absolutely beautiful cover. We have Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek, and this is coming out February 27th. And again, another book that doesn't really have a whole lot of a description. We have a main character, Liska, and she lives in a small village, and she knows that people who practice magic are often viewed as like monsters, and it's not good to practice your magic. magic, but she ends up unleashing her magic and her powers, and it ends up coming with devastating consequences. She is caught by the demon warden of the wood, who offers her a bargain, 1 year of servitude in exchange for a wish. And then it says, whisked away to his crumbling manor, Liska soon discovers the sinister roots of their bargain, and if she wants to survive the year and return home, she must unravel her host's spool of secrets and face the ghosts of his past. Those who enter the wood do not always return. It sounds so good, and it doesn't really give you much of anything, but that's what I want, and I'm so intrigued by this, and again, the cover is so beautiful, so definitely will be picking this up when it comes out. Next, another book that comes out February 27th, we have Lore of the Wilds by Annalie Sabrana. It says it's a stunning romantasy debut about an enchanted library, 2 handsome fae, and 1 human who brings them all together. Incredible. What a show-stopping first sentence. I don't need to read more. So it says, in a land ruled by the ruthless Fae, we have a main character named Lore, and she's basically trapped in a forested prison. She knows that escaping basically is not going to do anything. It's going to cause more harm than good. But her village ends up being threatened, so she makes a desperate deal with a Fae lord. She will leave her home to catalog and organize an enchanted library that hasn't been touched in 1,000 years. No Fae may enter the library, but there is a chance a human might be able to breach the cursed doors. She convinces him that she will risk her life for wealth, but really she's after the one thing the Fae covet above all, magic of her own. She's forced to rely on 2 Fae males to survive, 2 very different, very dangerous, very attractive Fae males. All right, this sounds really fun. I feel like I knew that this book had to do with Fae, and that's really all I knew. Plus, again, the cover is beautiful. So I really get sucked in by pretty covers, then I don't actually know what books are about. This sounds really fun. It has an enchanted library. What else do you want? Sounds great. Okay, so the next book I want to chat about is The Poisons We Drank by Bethany Baptiste, and this is coming out March 5th. So I think we're now getting into the March releases officially, and again, another beautiful cover. But we have a main character named Venus who brews love potions, which is a very dangerous thing, and basically if you're caught doing this, it basically means imprisonment or death. But then Venus's mother is killed, and the Grand Witcher, who is the head of Venus's coven, it is a witchy book, which probably would have been helpful for me to stay at the beginning of the description. But the Grand Witcher, who is the head of the coven, ends up giving Venus the chance to punish the killer of Venus's mother, but she has to pay a steep price for revenge, which is to brew poisonous potions to enslave DC's most influential politicians. So it seems like it's a bit of a urban fantasy type of read, and I'm very intrigued by this. I feel like any type of witchy book just immediately has me intrigued, and again, another beautiful cover, so this is definitely one I will be checking out. Next up is one that sounds like it's going to be right up my alley. It's The Baker and the Bard. This is by Fern Hott, and this is coming out March 5th as well. It's like a cozy graphic novel, and I think it's compared to Legends and Lattes, which was one of my favorite books of last year, so that's all I need to know. But we have our main characters, Juniper and Hadley, and they spend their respective days apprenticing in a little bakery and performing at the local inn. I'm doing this because it just sounds so precious already. But then a stranger places this very weird order at the bakery, so the 2 of them go on this adventure, I think to find these magical mushrooms that are needed to make this certain thing that the stranger requested. And that's all I know of the description. That's all I want to know, because with graphic novels, I feel like if you read too much of the description, it gives too much away. But it just seems so cozy, so precious and cute. The art style already just on the cover, I feel like I'm going to really enjoy. I really, really like it already. So yeah, very excited about this, and it just seems like something that I'm gonna love. Next, we have a book that I've also been anticipating for quite a while, because I feel like this author started teasing this book and this concept quite a while ago, and that's Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abike Imede, and this is coming out March 19th. So we have a main character named Sade who starts attending this boarding school, but her new roommate at this school ends up going missing. So I think she ends up starting to investigate this disappearance, but then she ends up getting sucked into this friend group of the Unholy Trinity. That's what they're called. So it's kind of giving Mean Girls set at a boarding school, but then it's also a murder mystery, because while she's investigating the disappearance of her roommate, a student is found dead. So seems very intriguing. I really loved Ace of Spades by this author, so I know that she's able to write a really like twist and turn type of mystery, very intriguing. And I also just think the setting of a boarding school is going to really add to the atmosphere. And again, like I said, I think that this is a book that this author's been talking about for quite a while, so I'm excited that it's finally being released this year. Next up, we have The Good, the Bad, and the Aunties by Jessie Q. Sutanto. I think this is coming out March 26th, and this is the third book, I think the third and final book in the Dial A for Aunties series. So Dial A for Aunties is the first one, which I read a couple years ago and absolutely loved it. It was such a fun, like, it's like a cozy mystery kind of, but there's not really a mystery because the whole premise of the first one is we have Medi who ends up accidentally killing somebody. She ends up killing this guy, and you know what? He kind of deserved it, to be honest with you. But then her and her aunts end up like trying to cover her tracks, and it's just so ridiculous and silly and so much fun. And then the sequel, it's kind of a similar thing. We have Medi and her aunts trying to figure out this mystery that's going on, but it's set in the backdrop on Medi's wedding day, which is why I didn't love the sequel so much. It just made me sad that Medi was spending her wedding day having to do all of this. So I didn't love the second one because of that. Like, it just kind of made me sad that Medi and her husband like weren't spending their wedding day together. But this one, it seems like it's taking place over Chinese New Year, so I feel like that's gonna be a little bit better, probably not going to make me as sad. And we have someone who was a former beau of second aunts. He shows up and ends up giving her a bunch of gifts, like he's trying to romance her again, and they end up discovering some gifts that were not meant for her. They weren't meant for this aunt, so I think Medi and all of the aunts travel to bring these gifts to the correct person, but then they end up getting sucked into yet another crazy mystery, and it's probably going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping I like this one more than the second one. So the next book, despite me having not read a single word of the description of this book, is one of my most anticipated books of this year, and that's Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. And that's why. It's Abby Jimenez. So this is coming out April 2nd. We're now getting into the April releases, but I have read Part of Your World and Yours Truly by this author and absolutely loved them. Yours Truly was one of my favorite books of last year. I just loved it so much. So of course I'm excited for more books from her. Shall we read the description together and I can find out what this book's actually about? Because I literally have not read the description. I have no idea what this is about. So, Justin has a curse, and thanks to a Reddit thread, is now all over the internet. Every woman he dates goes on to find their soulmate the second they break up. When a woman slides into his DMs with the same problem, they come up with a plan. They'll date each other and break up. Their curses will cancel each other's out, and they'll both go on to find the love of their lives. Wait a minute. This sounds so good. It's like fake dating. Oh my god, I'm so excited. It's a bonkers idea and it just might work. The fact that bonkers is used in the description, already iconic. Emma hadn't planned that her next assignment as a traveling nurse would be in Minnesota, but she and her best friend agree that dating Justin is too good of an opportunity to pass up, especially when they get to rent an adorable cottage on a private island on Lake Minnetonka. It's supposed to be a quick fling just for the summer, but when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected. This description, can you tell I have not read this yet? Including catching real feelings for each other. What if this time fate had actually brought the perfect pair together? This sounds so good. I need it right now. Thank you so much. Give it to me. I'm ready. Thank you, Abby Jimenez, for writing probably another future favorite book of mine. Thanks so much. All right, next up is a book that I don't know really what this book's about. It's just a popular author that I've read from before, and you probably already know what it is. It's probably on your radar already, and that's The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This is coming out April 9th, and somehow Leigh Bardugo keeps releasing books, and I keep reading them, even though, like, when I think about it, the only book from her that I've given 5 stars is Six of Crows. So I don't know if this is going to be for me, but I'm going to probably read it and probably give it a try. The hype is going to get to me. And again, it's Leigh Bardugo, so I just added it to my want to read and anticipated releases shelf without having read the description. I still don't know what this book's about, but the cover, great, love it. So we're following character Lucia, who uses a bit of magic to get through her days of endless toil as a scullion, but when her scheming mistress discovers the lump of a servant cowering in the kitchen is actually hiding a talent for little miracles, she demands Lucia uses those gifts to better the family's social position. So it kind of just starts as simple amusement for the nobility, but then it ends up taking a turn when she gets the attention of Antonio Perez, who is the disgraced secretary to Spain's king. Still reeling from the defeat of his armada, the king is desperate for any advantage in the war against England's heretic queen. So it seems like maybe she gets sucked into that world and into the politics of this world. I don't know. That's kind of all I want to read going into it. I don't know. Seems interesting. It's Leigh Bardugo, so I'm sure it's going to get very popular, very hyped up, and then I'm going to get sucked into reading it. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I have only given 6 of Crows by this author 5 stars. Nothing else. So I don't know if this is going to be for me, but we're going to try it. Okay, also coming out April 9th, but very different. Hard shift. We got Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is a new series from Elsie Silver, a new romance series, which I'm very excited about. I still have yet to finish the Chestnut Spring series because I don't want it to end. I just have the final one left to read, and I'm going to put it off for as long as possible because I don't want it to be over. But knowing that there's a new series to also look forward to makes it a little bit better. Do I know what this one's about? No. It's Elsie Silver, so therefore I want to read it. Okay, I will say I do kind of hate the way these descriptions of her books are given because they're in first person, so it just says, I did all this, I'm doing this, and it's like, but what is your name? I want to know. But whoever this man is, he's a billionaire, so good for him. He wants to open a new recording studio, but that comes to a screeching halt when he ends up coming face to face with a young girl who claims I'm her biological father. Okay, so I now spend my days balancing business with parenting a sullen 12-year-old, all while trying to desperately keep my hands the hell off my best friend's little sister. Okay, sure. I'm sure it'll be great. I don't care. It's Elsie Silver. I'm sure I'm gonna love it. Sign me up. So next, also coming out April 16th, we have To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang. And again, this is a beautiful cover. I think that's what made me add this to my want to read shelf. I do not know what this book's about. I just saw the cover and went, yep, thank you so much. I'll be adding that to my Goodreads. Okay, but also the first line of the description is kind of all I want to know. It says, she has power over death. He has power over her. When 2 enemies strike a dangerous bargain, will they end a war or ignite one? That sounds incredible. That's all I want to know. Thank you so much. Oh, I also think that it's first book in a trilogy, and it's also this author's debut novel, which is very exciting. I'm always excited to find debut authors and check them out and support them. So very excited about this. It sounds really good. I, again, didn't read much of the description, but just that line has me very intrigued. Okay, then of course we have to talk about Funny Story by Emily Henry. If Emily Henry, again, kind of like Marissa Meyer, if she writes it, I will read it. So Funny Story is coming out April 23rd. That's too far away, but also I'm not emotionally prepared for a new Emily Henry, so maybe it's okay that I have time to mentally prepare myself for this. But in this book, we have a character named Daphne who has a fiance named Peter who ends up realizing that he's actually in love with his childhood best friend, Petra. So Daphne begins her new story. She ends up going to Michigan without friends or family, but with a dream job as a children's librarian, and she ends up being roommates with Petra's ex, Miles. So Daphne and Miles are now roommates and their exes are in a relationship. And so these roommates don't really see much of each other until one day they end up forming a plan. And it says, if said plan involves posting deliberately misleading photos of their summer adventures together, well, who could blame them? So is it like fake dating to make their exes jealous? I don't know, but fake dating, Emily Henry, it's gonna be great. Also, it's just Emily Henry, so therefore I'm gonna love it. I'm very excited about this one. I also need to see this cover in person because people describe it as purple, but I'm like, is it purple? Is it blue? Is it a mixture of both? What color is this cover? I don't know. So I need to see it in person to know for sure. Okay, only a couple more left to mention, which thank God I'm running out of steam. I know I said I was gonna keep these books and descriptions short and sweet. I have not been doing that. So the next book is Song of the Six Realms. This is by Judy I. Lin, who wrote A Magic Steeped in Poison, which I have not read, but I've heard really good things about it. And this is another one where the cover kind of sucked me in and I actually don't know what this book's about. I feel like whoever is the artist for this author's books, they are incredible. Their covers are so stunning every single time, but let us read the description together, shall we? So it says we're following Zhu, who is a talented talented young musician, and she's orphaned at a young age, but her uncle ends up taking her in and arranges an apprenticeship at one of the most esteemed entertainment houses in the kingdom. But then her uncle is suddenly killed in a bandit attack, and so now she's facing the possibility of a lifetime of servitude, playing the queen for nobles that praise her talent with one breath and sneer at her lowly social status with the next. So she's not in a very good position, but then she gets this opportunity to put on a private performance for a duke, and it says he is a young man who is strangely kind and awkward for nobility, and surprises her with an irresistible offer to serve as a musician in residence at his manor for 1 year, and he'll set her free of her indenture. But it says the Duke's motives become increasingly more suspect when they barely survive an attack by a nightmarish monster, and when they go to his estate, it's revealed that he's not just some country noble, he's the Duke of Dreams, one of the divine rulers of the celestial realm. She then learns that the 6 realms are on the brink of disaster, and that there's these demonic attacks that are happening that are becoming more frequent, so he actually needs her help to unlock memories from her past that could hold the answers to how to stop the impending war. So that sounds really interesting. I, again, had not read the description before right now, so I didn't know what to expect, but that sounds really, really interesting. Again, the cover is beautiful, so definitely will be checking this out. And then the final book that I have to mention is Truly Madly Deeply by Alexandria Belfleur. This is the same author as the Fiancé Farce, which I read last year and really loved, so that's why I'm excited about this one. This is coming out April 30th. And also, I'm not gonna lie, my main motivation for being excited about this is the fact that the man on the cover looks like Steve Harrington, and I'm gonna say it every time because I can't not acknowledge it. You can't put someone that looks like Joe Keery on a cover and have me be like, oh yeah, that's something not to note. I just love him so much, so we have to talk about it. But it says sparks fly, which already, Taylor Swift reference, thank you so much. But it says, sparks fly when a lovelorn romance novelist and a divorce lawyer who has sworn off relationships agree to co-host a podcast series offering dating advice to its viewers. Sounds incredible. That's all I want to read. I feel like that's all I need to know going into it. But I'm just really excited about it. I really, really loved the Fiancé Farce. I loved the romance, the banter, the humor, the writing. It just like, it had basically everything that I want in a romance novel. It had it, and it did it so well. So I'm really excited for this. And again, I will be able to picture Steve Harrington while reading it. So a win is a win. But that is it. Those are all of the books that are kind of on my radar for the first 4 months of 2024. Obviously, there are so many more books that are being released over these next few months that I do not know of. So if you have any that you're looking forward to, I'd love for you to comment them down below so I can put them on my radar. And also let me know if you're excited for any of these books. I'd love to chat about them and just be excited about these releases together. But I think that that is going to be it for my first anticipated releases video of 2024. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.